Marco Naudo reporting from GenCon 2015. I'm here at the booth of Fantasy Flight, where I've been told 2 mystery games will be unveiled today. 2 games that will be released or promoted, and I personally have no idea what's going to be. But Anton from Fantasy Flight Games has graciously agreed to tell us a little bit about these games.
Excellent.
Thank you, Anton. So what are the 2 mystery games?
So you stopped by earlier today, and every Friday, every year, Christian Peterson, the CEO, holds an address. So he tells, fills us in where he's been and what's coming up, and then announces new products. And this year, the 2 core products that we announced were revealed, and now we're actually demoing them here at the booth. So these are prototypes. They will be released later this year. The first is Runebound.
Runebound.
So Runebound is back. Runebound, you may know, is a classic adventure game. This is set in the world of Terranoth. And Terranoth is the same setting in which Descent, Journeys in the Dark takes place, and even our more recent release of Dungeon Quest. It's a setting that we know and love. Battle Lore is set in this world, and in each character takes control of one of 6 different adventurers. They're all very different. You're going to wander about very freely. This is one thing I love about Runebound. It's just a large map. It's a hex map, and you roll movement dice, and the dice show you different terrain, and that will allow you to move about. As an adventure game, it is really about the narrative. And so there are stacks of cards, and into those stacks, for the different kinds of encounters, you will add cards specific to each of one of 2 scenarios. So as you go about, there are events that will take place in Terranoth because it is that land, but there are also events that will unfold, and foes, and locations that have meaning and resonance based on one of those 2 scenarios. So if you dig adventure games, you should try this out. It is a reimagining. If you've played Runebound, this will be different. Not in the sense that it creates an engaging narrative, but mechanically. And my favorite, if I may, my favorite mechanic comes down to the combat tokens. You're actually casting tokens.
Oh, I like that.
And if I may, I'm going to reach out.
Absolutely.
No worries. These are actually a set of tokens for...
You want to set them on the table so we can see them in action?
So these tokens are double-sided, and you'll notice there's a large icon on the left, and then there's a small icon on the right side. That shows you what is on the flip.
Oh, I see.
And so this is the set that the opposing player, the defender, would use if you were facing a creature. So I, as the hero, another player would cast these for the monster, and we cast them down, and the results are what I would use and alternate, spending those tokens to accomplish particular actions.
Oh, I see.
So damage, this allows you to double an effect. This allows you, if you spend agility, you flip a token. And so there's this little back and forth interplay. It is really, really interesting. And each character's tokens are unique. And as you acquire abilities and you acquire equipment, you get to add to that token pool. So you choose exactly how that equipment affects your character. It's very fun, it's very fast, and really, really interesting.
It does seem quite interesting, and you know that I am into adventure games, so I'm definitely curious about this one.
If you have a chance, you should demo this. Otherwise, it will be releasing later this year.
Okay.
So Q4 this year.
So this is one of the 2 mystery releases.
One of the 2 mystery announcements. Now the second is also an adventure game. And I know recently, a few months ago, we had an appearance. We announced some new products at Gamma, I believe, and it was all science fiction related. And I heard some comments. Oh, what about fantasy? And I'm like, I know, we're working on that. The second is based on a GW property, so a Games Workshop setting, and the title is Warhammer Quest: The Adventure Card Game. Ooh. So, a couple of differences. In Runebound, each hero is racing to victory, but you're also sharing that grand narrative. Okay. technically there will be one winner, but it's all about the journey. In Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, you have a small $39.95 product that is playable from 1 to 4 players. This is pure co-op. And there are 4 different characters. There is an elven archer, there is a priest, sort of a priest combat focused character, there's a dwarf, and then a magic user, a bright wizard. And your character has 4 separate actions, and those action cards stay up in front of you, and everyone has them in view. On your turn, you will take one of those actions. You essentially exhaust the card. One of the actions is to attack. One of the actions is to aid, so it is really a support to the other players. One is to rest, where you heal, and another is to explore. And it is choosing those actions in turn, each round. Each action is slightly different depending on your character, and slightly different effects. And it's all about communicating at the table and coordinating how you're going to execute these actions in turn, because once you've exhausted that action in a round, you cannot use it again. And it's about, I was playing in the office prior to coming here, and we read the rules, we're like, that's interesting. It seems pretty simple mechanically, and by the, as we were getting into it, there were moments, these moments arise. There were dice in combat as you fight, and these grand heroic efforts, and we were jumping up and down, like high-fiving, like, Brian, one of the employees, was a dwarf, and he was getting brutally battered. He was like bleeding, and he was close to dying, and he had 3 creatures in front of him. And he said, Anton, I can do 2 things. I can aid and help you, and you try and attack, or I can just try and attack them all. And I was like, go! So he threw the dice down, and it was an awesome roll, and he just cut them down. It's like those moments of working together, sort of desperately, through an entire scenario. So there are multiple scenarios, chapters essentially, in a grand campaign, in just a tiny little box. A lot of fun, very, very clever and interesting and new.
Cool. Is there a prototype here that we can have a quick look at?
So we have that at the table, and let's go find Warhammer Quest. And maybe we can take a pause.
Yeah.
All right. So what we have here is a table. This is a prototype. So the artwork on the cards is correct, but the tokens will be slightly different. In the center, there's a large card, and that has the progress marker as this particular quest is accomplished. So there's a real sense of urgency, and there are triggers. There are events that will trigger as you move through each chapter in this quest, and that's part of the fun. There's a deck of equipment and gear that you may find. There's a deck of events and items that you may find in the dungeon, and all of that is pulled together. You are instructed on the back of each of the quest cards. So real sense of narrative, and then each player, you see this player has 4 blue cards. Those are the primary actions for that particular character. And you see the card closest to us is
it's been turned by 90 degrees.
Been rotated, so that particular action has been exhausted, and so the next time it is he has a chance to take an action, he has to choose from one of the 3. One of the 4 actions for each of the 4 players resets all of the cards, and it's and it's really that interplay of talking to the group. You get a sense of being an adventuring, being in an adventure together. It's great fun. It's great fun, very portable, inexpensive, and we think people are going to love it.
And when is this going to be released?
This will be released later this year, Q4.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anton, for sharing your view about your new mystery announcements for the people that cannot be here in GenCon. Now they can get a sense. So thank you again, Anton.
You're welcome. Take care, Marco.